Donald Trump has told the New York Post he's supposed to be dead as he reflected on the attempt on his life at a Pennsylvania campaign rally. He described the shooting as a very surreal experience while he was en route to Milwaukee, where he'll be confirmed as the Republican candidate at the GOP National Convention. Joining me now is Democrat and Professor of Political Science at Cypress College, Peter Mathews. Thank you for your time. Look, at a fascinating first interview. I guess we forget sometimes, Donald Trump's just another living, breathing human. You would be thinking in the moments afterwards, look, he sees the political narrative with a fist up, but he must have looked at it, looked at the analysis and thought, I was centimetres from dying.
Yes, it was a horrendous event, and we all are grateful that he did not die, because you imagine what the country would be facing right now if that had happened. And we just have to decry and condemn any violence, any political violence in a democracy. The whole idea of democracy is that people choose and have freedom of choice on elections, and whoever loses or wins the election, they have to accept that. And then that's the rule of law will be implemented. And that's what we had in this country until these things happen. It's not the first time either. It happened in 1968 with Senator Robert Kennedy, and before that, 1963 with John F. Kennedy, the president. It happened in Dr. Martin Luther King. We've had assassination attempts or assassinations, which are horrendous. Don't forget Ronald Reagan in '81. And so this was the latest one, and we all are glad that he did not, that this at least didn't end up in worse tragedy.
He says he's got the numbers of the families. He wants to call them all, of course, at least one death in terms of those innocently hit, and a 50-year-old man who dived across. And this is the sort of tragic story and such an impressive one, who straight away thought of the lives of his wife and daughters there. So he has died. The president also said he'll be about unity. He's scrapped his speech, which was going to be, not surprisingly, in the middle of a campaign attacking Joe Biden, and now it's going to be about unity. This is a pretty astute call, you'd have to say.
It absolutely is, and it's very important that he did that, and we are very glad that he did that. And also President Biden has called for unity as well, and we should all lower the temperature, because we can have discourse that recognizes the other side as being American and our fellow citizens and our fellow neighbors, and not vilify or make them look like they're evil people if they have different views on us. So that's how democracy should work, and I think this was a very good move on his doing the speech differently, and we'll see what happens this week. We want everyone on both sides and other offices that people are running for to lower the temperature and just instead reason with each other and look at the issues carefully and let the voters decide. Let's go ahead and do that and have a good debate on the issues.
Within this interview, that's certainly worth reading, he drops a little bit of a kernel here that I guess he's hoping other people will open, saying he hears maybe Joe Biden will order the DOJ to drop charges against him. I'm not sure if that's Donald Trump, putting that out there, because then Joe Biden's asked, and I don't know, how can he not? Isn't he trying to get unity? What did you make of that development?
Well, that's very unusual. I mean, on the other hand, I can understand why he did it, but I don't. The system has to work. There was a trial with a jury of his peers, and they found him guilty, and the sentencing is supposed to come out in September. The judge held it off. We have to go through the rule of law there, and then let the voters decide, because it's still good for him to run, and we should, respect each other. His point of view is legitimately put out there, and let the voters decide if they want him or Joe Biden. But this is something else that's getting in the legal system when he asked to dismiss the charges. That's something that many people did not expect, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, look, it was a suitably vague reference as to whether it will actually happen or not. Look, straight away when this happened, when there was the image of Donald Trump, a lot of people just thought, well, this will be significant. He was already ahead in this election race. Does this mean he's signed, sealed and delivered? What do you make of that? Because the crucial element is always turnout. Now, rusted on Trump supporters were going to turn up anyway. What do you think this incident will mean for those that are not necessarily or weren't convinced that they were going to turn out for Trump, and then maybe some of the Kennedy voters that were weighing whether or not they'd vote for Donald Trump or Robert Kennedy?
That's a possibility, but I think we already know from the polling and the in-depth analysis that President Trump's voters, former President Trump's voters, were very loyal to him, and he had his numbers pretty much set. He's constantly been appealing to the base and not really trying to reach out to the middle-of-the-road voters or other voters that could switch over to him with his solid message that he's had all this time along. And then, these voters have been loyal to him. So I don't think his base, his numbers will go or expand anymore. It's President Biden who actually lost some of his support, especially among key demographics like young people, American women, and people of color, minorities. President Biden had a coalition back in 2020. That's how he beat President Trump by a few points. But this time, some of his people left him on issues like the Gaza issue, a few other things that Biden didn't quite come through the way he should have. That's been a very solid base for Trump, but it's Biden's base that moves up and down. So I don't know if this will actually bring more people to President Trump or not. Sometimes some people have said when the tragedy happens like this, more voters come in.
The incumbent, yeah, it was Joe Biden. I mean, for now, this push to replace him will just stop. Will it be hard to restart? That this might save his campaign, albeit a lot of Democrats will say, well, that will even more guarantee a Donald Trump win.
Well, you're doing great. So good analysis right there. I do believe that this is the movement to get Joe Biden to be replaced by someone else like Vice President Harris has been slowed down considerably by this tragic action where the attention was put on this action. And then Biden can rally people around and say, I'm the president, I have to be in charge now with this crisis that has hit us. And so people will be looking more towards saying, let's keep Joe Biden, even Democrats, let's keep him in there and let's just go with him and Harris, Vice President Harris as the running mate, and then go all the way there. Now, I don't know about the numbers as in Trump, because this is a state-by-state election. We have electoral college, only about 7 states that determine the election outcome that are very close. President Biden won some of those states by only less than 1% of the vote last time. This time, if the vote swings toward President Trump, and they are, in fact, President Trump is a little ahead of President Biden right now in those swing states. So unless Biden can come up again and win about 3 or 4 more percent in those swing states, he could actually lose the election to Trump. It's a very unpredictable thing right now.
Peter Mathews, very late or early, depending on which way you look at it there in Los Angeles. We appreciate your time today. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.